Hey guys, Seth here from Vaults of Mayhem TCG, and today I'm going to tell you what Vaults of Mayhem TCG is and how you play. Um, so Vaults of Mayhem TCG is a game set in the fantasy world of the Central Plane. You are a Vault Master or person trusted with a sacred cosmic key, which allows you to access the vaults of power in which you utilize creatures, resources, and powers in order to destroy your opponents. The Vault Masters used to be a sacred role, but now they have become corrupt and have embarked on a quest to destroy each other and gain the most power. Um, so the setup of the game is fairly simple. The most important of the game, your vault card of the game, your vault is placed to the left of your deck over here. And that is what you use how you get your currency for your game. And it decides whether or not your vault is destroyed and whether or not you win or lose. Then the vaulting zone, where you can see vaulting cards are played, is basically where you play vaulting cards and equipment cards, which are attached to them. The asset zone below it is where you play asset cards, which give you general effects to help you throughout the game. So vault cards are arguably the most important card of the game. They have four statistics. There's source, power, indicated by the letters PWR, and defense indicated by the letters DFS. Um, and source is arguably the most important uh the the most important statistic of any card because it determines whether or not it can be played. So it's located here right next to its card type, which is the fourth statistic on a vault card. And there will be four different types of sources. There's destruction, there's protecting, there's liberty, and there's manipulation. And you can only play a card if one of your vaults has the same card type as it. So if you were to have a card that was Liberty, you cannot play it from the Magna Vault, which has the source of destruction. Power is basically the currency of the game. You get a set amount of power each turn. Your amount of power is is indicated over here, next to your source type. And every time you play a card, you subtract the power cost of that card from your vault's power, and you have that much power left for your turn. You can't save up power. Now, sometimes a person may have two vaults, and what happens then is you would have the power of the vault, um, and you would have the defense of the vault, and you would add the two powers and defenses of the vault together to create your total power and your total defense. So if you had a vault with 8 power and a vault with 6 power, and you have both of those and put them together, that's 7 power. And then if they had the same for defense, that's your total defense. Now, defense is another important statistic. It decides whether or not your opponent can destroy your vault. So if they have more total attack, which I'll get into later, they will destroy your vault and you'll lose the game. Now, both of your vaults will be destroyed simultaneously. If you have two vaults, you're just adding the two power of your vaults together halved. Vault cards are another important card in the game. They're basically your minions that you summon from your vaults to get your stuff done. They have four statistics. They've got source, power, power cost, attack, and defense. And this is not accepting the card type, which is always following. So source, again, is basically what determines whether or not you can play that card. So you can't play a protecting Vaultwing from let's say destructive vault. And Then attack is the amount of so here's protecting. Then you've also got the power cost. And the power cost is, how much it costs to play the card. So if you were to have this card, which costs 6 power, and a vault that had 12 power, you would be left over with 6 power. And then your power for your vault replenishes every turn. The next statistic, one of the two most important statistics on your vaultlings, is attack. So it's how much damage it does to another vaultling when they go into combat. And when they go into combat, damage is dealt simultaneously, which I will also get into later. Defense is how much damage they can take before they are killed and sent to the discard pile. If a vaultling has more or equal to attack to the defense of the vaultling that they are in combat with, then that vaultling will go to the discard pile. Now, so let's go through how vaultling combat works. So in vaultling combat, each vaultling can attack another vaultling if the player chooses. Each player gets 3 actions on their turn, and they can use one of those actions to attack another vaultling. So if a certain person were to choose to attack a fire belcher troll with their dormant guardian, then this is what would happen. The dormant guardian would take away 4 defense from the fire belcher troll, and the fire belcher troll would take away 3 defense. Now, you have to look at the abilities to see if anything would be added during this combat, and you can see it would not, because the fire belcher troll is not attacking and it doesn't deal any extra damage because of that. So since this has 4 attack, it takes away 4 defense from the fire belcher troll, and since this has 3 attack, it takes away 3 defense from the dormant guardian. And since neither of those actually had enough attack to completely kill the other vaultling, they both survive. Now, here's the thing. The damage on each vaultling is kept until the end of the active player's turn. So until the player in question ends their turn, this vaultling still only has 2 defense left, since it has 6 defense in total, and it lost 4 defense from the dormant guardian. So that means if a person were to attack it again, let's say with their Fungot Corroder, since it would take away 3 defense and it only has 2 defense left, which would be restored to its full defense after the active player's turn, then the fire belcher troll would be destroyed, and it would be thrown in the discard pile to rest there forever. So now it is possible for the attacking vaultling to be killed as well. So if this fire belcher troll were to have one more attack, it would take away 4 defense instead, and the Fungot Corroder would be discarded as well, since damage is dealt simultaneously unless otherwise specified on a vaultling card. So an important card that goes sort of side by side with vaultling cards are equipment cards. Now, equipment cards are played under the vaultling, so you would attach them to the vaultling card, and you would just slip it under in the vaultling zone. You can have as many equipment cards as you want on the same vaultling, and they can only be attached to vaultlings that have the same source. So this destruction, Helm of the Parish, could not be attached to a defending vault link. Sorry, a protecting vault link. And then basically once it's attached to that vault link, it gives that vault link the specified effect on it. And here's the source, and here's the power cost. It's not specified with the letters PWR, just like vault links. It comes, and when it's power cost, it's not specified with letters. It comes after the card source. And if a vault link is killed, the items attached to that vault link are discarded with it. So asset cards. Sorry, please ignore the typo. Asset cards are basically cards that you would have that you play in your asset zone rather than your vault link zone. They give you general effects that affect everything in the game. So this asset card reads, your vault has 3 more power, and its source is located here. Manipulation. You can only play this if you have a manipulation vault, and its power cost is 6. Again, not labeled with the letters PWR. You must spend an action card to play an action card, and that's the central principle that is what action cards are made of. So they're called action cards because you have to spend an action to play them. There are only 3 things you can do with your 3 actions that you get during the game. You can play action cards, you can attack with your vault links, and you can draw a card. So you could spend as many actions as you want as long as you have actions left to play action cards during your turn. And they give you usually immediate effects used to help you during the game, and they're almost always immediately discarded after they're played. If it says don't discard this card after it's played, then that's an exception, obviously. So this is an example. It says your opponent cannot play cards on their next turn, and as soon as you play it, it's discarded. These are not instant cards like in other games. You can only play them on your turn, and you have to spend one of your 3 actions. And then here's manipulation, which is the card source, and here's 4, which is the power cost. Again, not specified with the letters PWR. Now, winning. So winning is very complicated, but basically, in order to win, you destroy all of your opponent's vaults. If your opponent has 2 vaults, its defense is basically 1 vault's defense plus the other vault's defense halved, rounding up. Your opponent can't just use 2 of the same vault because there would be a loophole to give your opponent more defense or power. If your total attack is larger than your opposing vault's defense, and if there's 2 vaults, that's their combined defense together -2. Then that vault will be automatically destroyed. You don't have to do anything to destroy it. You just have to notice it. You have to say, oh, my total attack is stronger than your opponent's defense. Your total attack is basically the attack of all your vault links combined. So if one vault link has 3 attack, and another vault link has 2 attack, and another vault link has 2 attack, then their total attack is 7 attack. And there is a catch. Each vault is guarded by that player's vault links, and each of those vault links can block one of your vault links, meaning its attack will not be added to your total attack. It's always assumed that the vault links with the highest attack will be blocked first. So if your opponent has 3 vault links, the score of your highest 3 vault links will not be added to your score. Now, let's go to an example because this is very complicated. Here we have a basic setup. So this person whose turn it is has 2 vault links. one with 4 attack, and one with 3 attack. That means their total attack is 7 attack. But because their opponent has a Vaultling, that one Vaultling can block one card. It doesn't matter the statistics of this Vaultling, it just matters that this Vaultling exists. It doesn't, so if it were a different type of Vaultling, it would still block the card with the highest attack. If there were 2 Vaultlings or 3 Vaultlings, then they would block the 3 highest or the 2 highest Vaultlings. So that means since this Vaultling has the highest attack, its 4 attack will not be added to this person's 7 total defense, which means that this person cannot destroy this magma vault, because without this Vaultling's attack, they only have 3 total attack, and the magma vault has 5 defense. Now, if this person were to decide to use 2 of their actions to attack the Fire Belcher Troll and destroy it, resulting in the Fire Belcher Troll being discarded, and the Vaultlings, and then having 2 Vaultlings and neither of them being blocked, then that would mean their total attack would be 7, because this Vaultling is no longer blocked. There is no longer any Vaultling around to stop it from reaching the opponent's vault, meaning their total attack is 7 attack, and they now have enough power to destroy the Magma Vault, which only has 5 defense. This means that the opponent of the active player has lost the game, and this person is the winner effective immediately. There's no chance for the opponent to have another turn to see if they can stop them, and it doesn't matter whether or not it's this player's turn. Regardless, since its total attack is higher than the opponent's vault, this player's won. So here's some important terms when you're reading the cards. Your opponent is all players playing against you. In this game, you can have up to 4 players. If a card says your opponent, it could mean all 2 players playing against you or all 3 players playing against you. Equipped, it means the card you are reading is attached to. So if this is usually to do with equipment cards, which you may attach to your Vaultlings, right? So if it says the equipped card has +3 defense, then it would be referring to the card that you would place it under. Kill means discard. Killed means is in the discard pile. And then the battlefield is basically the area of play. So your asset zone, your vault cards, and your Vaultling zone. So the last thing I want to talk to you about is not directly related to the game, but it's a format of the game, and it's just as legitimate as the standard format of the game. It's very similar, but there's one thing changed. So in Source Break, the format I'm referring to, the Vaults of Mayhem have broken open, and they have been extended to all areas of the cosmos and all different types of dimensions. And sources no longer matter. You can play any card from any vault, regardless of that card's source. So as long as you have enough power to play that card, and it doesn't matter if it's the same source or not. This is also significant because you can attach equipment cards to Vaultlings that do not have the same source. And I think it's a good format if you're starting out and you don't have that many cards that have the same source. And it's just really easy to make sure that you have a good deck you can play with. Now, this format can get a little more chaotic because, there may be certain combos or cards that weren't meant to be played together that will be played together in this format. And it could cause for some very destructive and gameplay and crazy gameplay that I didn't mean to be possible. So without further ado, that's it. Now you should know how to play Vaults of Mayhem, and I hope you'll consider trying it out. Thanks.